bryophyta. Okay. Now, so first of all, we are talking about, in case of this algae, first point, algae, it is belonging to non-cormophytes. Algae, basically, these are the non-cormophytes. Cormophytes. So what is meaning of the non-cormophytes? Non-cormophytes means plant or specific type who does not have true leaf, stem and the root-like structure. Non-cormophytes. What is meaning of this non-cormophyte? Is algae don't have, it does not have true root, true stem and true leaf-like structure, leaf structure. If you see the angiospermic plant, any plant, you can easily observe there is a presence of the root, there is a presence of the stem, leaf also present. But when we are talking about the algae mostly we are talking about, these are the belonging to non-cormophytes. And what is meaning of the non-cormophytes? The plant. Phytes means what? Phytes. Phytes means we are talking about the plant. The plant who don't have true root, true stem, true leaf-like structure. Similar structure hoga. Similar structures are there, but true leaf, stem and the leaf-like structure are totally absent. Such type of the plant, simply it is called as the non-cormophytes. Got it? Non-cormophytes. This point is clear, everyone? What is meaning of non-cormophytes? Yes or no? Non-cormophytes. One concept. The plant who don't have well developed or the true stem, leaf and the root-like structure. Such type of this structure, these are called as the non-cormophytes. Chalo. So quickly we are taking the common characteristic which is belonging to algae. Number one, habitat. First part we are talking about habitat. In case of this habitat, whenever we are talking about algae mostly these are the aquatic. So first habitat, that is aquatic. And remember, mostly algae, these are the aquatic in nature, mostly. But we have few examples. Few, these are the present in terrestrial ecosystem also. So algae, habitat, mostly these are the aquatic. First point with respect to habitat. Number second, reserved food material. We are talking about common, okay? These are the all common property. Reserved food material which is present in case of this algae, these are the starch. Number second, we are talking about nutrition, mode of nutrition. You know very well, whenever we are talking about the algae basically they has the chlorophyll pigment. And if chlorophyll pigments are present, it means that they are capable for the photosynthesis. So mode of nutrition, these are photoautotropics. Got it? So mode of nutrition, photoautotropic, because chlorophyll present. Now, fourth point, we are talking about of vascular tissue. And remember this point, whenever we are talking about the vascular tissue, it means that we are talking about xylem, which is involved in conduction of water. And another part, we are talking about phloem, which is involved in conduction of food. So such type of this vascular tissue like xylem and phloem, these are totally absent in case of algae, because algae, these are the primitive part of plant kingdom. I hope you remember, we already discussed this part जब हमने fungus देखा था. Whenever we are writing the information from left to right, okay, when we are writing from left to right, it means that we are going from primitive to advanced one. So जैसे भी हम कहते हैं ना कि in case of plant kingdom, initially algae, then bryophyta, then pteridophyta, then gymnosperm, then angiosperm. Why we are saying such type of this sequence? Because first involvement, first which is get origin, that is algae. Algae get modified and now they converted into bryophyta. After the bryophyta, development of pteridophyta. After the pteridophyta, development of gymnosperm. Finally, there is a development of angiosperm, because angiosperm, these are the most advanced under the plant kingdom, and the algae, these are the most primitive. So whenever you are writing the information, when you go from left to right, left always represent primitive condition and the right always represent the advanced condition. ठीक है, ये सबके लिए रूल फॉलो होता है. These are applicable for the bacterial classification, fungal classification, plant classification, even for animal classification. So we are talking about the algae, and algae, these are the primitive part of the plant. Definitely such type of this muscular tissue, that is xylem, phloem, totally absent. Cells present होंगे, okay? Specific types of cells are present who involved in conduction of water and the food, but we are talking about muscular tissue, xylem, phloem. So such type of the tissue totally absent. Deepika, ये हम part देखेंगे when we discuss the differentiation part, because some algae, these are the parasitic also. Okay, so we discuss that part later, not now. When we talk about the differentiation between the algae, we are talking about the common characteristics. So mostly majority जो होता है हम उसके बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. We are not taking any exception case here. Okay. Yes, few these are parasitic also. Few algae parasitic also. So I'll discuss that part later in exception case. Chalo. Now after the fifth part, vascular tissue, we are talking about reproduction, and the first part of reproduction, that is vegetative reproduction. Under the vegetative reproduction, yes, it is present. And if we are talking about which pattern, which type, so fragmentation. In all algae, fragmentation, these are the mode of reproduction. Vegetative reproduction. What is meaning of vegetative reproduction? For example, if you are taking any leaf part, suppose leaf, bryophyllum, remember 12th standard syllabus, bryophyllum एक leaf है. That bryophyllum leaf, it has tendency, they can generate complete plantlet. Complete plantlet means root, stem, leaf, सब कुछ form होगा from that single part of plant, that is leaf. So vegetative reproduction means what? From any part of plant body, any part, you can take leaf, you can select stem part, you can select the leaf part. From any part of the plant, you can develop complete plantlet, you can develop entire plant. Such type of reproduction, these are called as the vegetative reproduction. And in case of this algae, mostly there is a presence of the fragmentation, vegetative reproduction, which is present in all. Now number 6, we are talking about asexual mode of reproduction. Asexual mode of reproduction means what? Where single parent is involved. Okay, and yes, here asexual mode of reproduction is present. So present, for the present I am giving the plus sign. It is represent the present. Now what happened? When we are talking about the asexual mode of reproduction, it means that they can produce, they can develop asexual spore. They can develop asexual spore, and that asexual spore also called as the mitospore, which is haploid in nature. Haploid represented by the small m, mitospore. So now what happened? Whenever we are talking about algae, Komal, Komal, it's like a regeneration itself. But regeneration ये animal में होता है mostly. So we are talking about asexual reproduction. Under the asexual reproduction, yes, they can form. And now after the reproduction process, there is a formation of the asexual spore. And that asexual spore also called as the mitospore. And what is meaning of the mitospore? Mitospore means simple, that is spore which is developed by mitosis process. Spore which is a product of mitosis. What is meaning of this mitospore? Spore which product of mitosis. Spore which is product of mitosis. Because see, we'll discuss this part later. In case of fungi and in case of algae, a common point है, similar point. Algae and the fungi, all they have haploid structure, entire body except zygote. Okay, except zygote, entire body they has the haploid in nature. So if you see leaf like structure, stem like structure, or the entire body of the what we say algae entire body, these are the haploid except zygote, except zygote. Similarly this rule apply for the fungi also, except zygote. फंगस में हमने जितने भी पार्ट देखा था, fruiting body, mycelium, hyphae, spore, all these are the haploid in nature. So we discuss that part later at the end. What is the similarity between the algae and the fungi? But remember this point. Whenever we are talking about asexual mode of reproduction, yes, it is present. And now what happened? Whenever we are talking about the asexual spore, also called as the mitospore. What is meaning of the mitospore? Spore produce after the mitosis process. Normally क्या होता है in case of plant and animal? Reductional division होगा, meiosis process will be occur, and after meiosis process formation of the spore. But in case of algae, after mitosis process there is a formation of this spore, and that spore nothing but we are talking about asexual spore. Asexual, remember this point. And what is meaning of this asexual? Where single parent is involved, no fertilization, right? And this asexual spore also called as the mitospore, spore which is product of mitosis. रिमेंबर दिस पॉइंट, ये कॉमन है, आगे हम इसको एक्सप्लेन नहीं करेंगे. आई जस्ट राइट डाउन द नेम माइटोस्पोर एंड यू हैव टू रिमेंबर दिस ऑल कॉन्सेप्ट. So mitospore, spore which is a product of mitosis. Now what happen in this condition? We are talking about whatever the spores are present, asexual spore or the mitospore. This spore basically two types. One, first type, that is flagella present, and the second part we are talking about, that is flagella absent. So for the present we are using the plus sign, and for the absent we are using the minus sign. Whenever we are talking about the flagella present, such type of the spore, sorry, these are called as the zoospore. Zoospore. And what is meaning of this zoospore? Zoospore nothing but we are talking about motile spore. So simply these are called as the zoospore, or also called as the planospore. Planospores also haploid in nature. And what is the common point for this zoospore or planospore? These are the specific type of the spore which is a motile. So अगर motile spore होगा, that motile spore simply it is called as the zoospore, or also called as the planospore. In case of this algae, basically flagella absent also. ये भी हो सकता है, yes, flagella also absent. So if flagella is absent, it means that these are the non-flagellated, right? It means that we can say these are the non-motile. So when flagella is absent, such type of this spore, these are called as the akinete spore. These are called as the akinete spore. Or in other language, these are also called as aplanospore. Aplanospore. So both A spores है. So ploidy level, haploid, right? But what is the main feature with respect to these two? And both these are the non-motile. These are non-motile spore. And why we say non-motile? Because flagella absent. So it's very much common step. ये same to same follow होता है for the fungi also, because fungus and the algae maximally they have the same type of the life pattern. At some point we discuss that part later, like zygotic meiosis, like haplontic life cycle. At some point they are having the similar life cycle, some places. So whenever we are talking about the flagella, yes, flagella those types के होंगे. If motile, that is called as the zoospore, also called as the planospore. Flagella absent, it means that these are the non-motile, and such type of this non-motile spore called as the akinete spore, also called as the planospore. Got it? This point is clear. Mitospore, this point is clear. New students, speed is okay, might be possible because आज आपका पहला क्लास होगा तो ऐसे लग सकता है कि थोड़ा स्पीड ज्यादा हो रहा है. So please, if you unable to catch the words, please tell me. I can minimize my speed. Especially new students. Okay. 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 Chalo. So one information. This information please write down. in a margin. Please write down this information in margin. I'm writing in box. We are talking about mitospore. Mitospore, also called as the asexual spore, which is haploid in nature. So we know that plant kingdom, it is divided into total 5 types. Number 1, algae. Number 2, bryophyta. Number 3, pteridophyta, gymnosperm, and finally angiosperm. So first of all, number 1, we are talking about algae. Number 2, that is bryo. I'm just writing bryo. If you want, you can write down bryophyta. Okay? चलो लिख के दे दो. Now number 3, that is pteridophyta. Number 4th, gymnosperm. And the number 5th, that is angiosperm. So now what happens if you see where the mitospore are present? So only and only in case of this algae, there is a presence of typical type of mitospore. Mitospore कहाँ पे present होगा? Only and only in case of algae. But when you compare this point with all bryo, pterido, gymno, angio, such type of this mitospore, it is totally absent. Means asexual mode of reproduction is absent. Remember this point. ये common है. Please write down in margin. Mitospore, that is asexual spore. That is asexual mode of reproduction. Where these are the present? These are the present only of algae, while in all types of the plant like bryophyta, pteridophyta, gymnosperm as well as the angiosperm, such type of the mitospore totally absent. Asexual mode of reproduction is totally absent. Clear? Please write down this info in margin. Okay, chalo. So these are the some information with respect to asexual mode of reproduction. Now we are talking about quite interesting part, sexual mode of reproduction and neat favorite part also. Should I continue? Anissa, Suhas, Pooja, Deepika, Pratyusha, Komal, Himaya, Nihal, Samar, Deepika, Deepa, Edric, Rubaika, Siddhi. Pratyusha, I'll give some short. Whenever we are talking about the algae basically these are the haploid in nature. Always haploid. Entire body of the algae, these are the haploid in nature. 1 point. Okay. Now what happened? Whenever this algae is produced, this algae, it is undergo the process of mitosis. It is undergo the process of mitosis, that is reductional division. And after the mitosis process, they produce this spore. Suppose what they produce? They produce these spores. Now spores kya hai? These are the haploid in nature. Now what happened? These are the two types of spore. One spore, these are the male, and the another spore female. Suppose during the यही हम बात करें, we discuss this part under the sexual. So for example, this spore it is behave as a female and this spore it is behave as a male. So now you know that male and the female, they undergo the sexual mode of reproduction, and now they undergo the fertilization, and after the fertilization there is a formation of the zygote. So zygote kya hoga? Whatever the zygote they get formed, now that zygote, these are the diploid in nature. This zygote undergo the reductional division and that time they produce the meiosis. So just have a patience. I'll explain this part when you have to remember the mitospore and when you have to remember the meiospore. Chalo. So now we are talking about kitna number hai? Sexual mode of reproduction. Okay, number 6 and number 7. Okay, so we are talking about number 7, sexual mode of reproduction. In case of the sexual mode of reproduction, basically 3 types of sexual mode of reproduction is present. Number 1, which is similar to fungi, I hope you remember, isogamous. Number second, anisogamous. And the number third, that is oogamous. Okay. So in case of fungi, these are the part which is similar to fungi as well as the algae. So we are talking about there is a three types of the asexual mode of reproduction. Number one, that is isogamous. Number second, that is anisogamous, and number third, that is oogamous. If we are talking about the isogamous, it means that similar gamete fusion. Similar gamete, they are showing fusion. So such type of this pattern, these are isogamous. Anisogamous means what? Morphologically different. Means one is small size, another one is large size. Morphology, morphologically. Morphologically different gametes, they get fused. Gamete fusion. Such type of this fusion method, these are called as the unisogamous condition. And the oogamous, basically these are the most advanced. I hope you remember this part. We already covered this part in fungi, right? So oogamous method, these are the most advanced. And whenever we are talking about the oogamous, in this condition, there is a presence of the male gamete, and now there is a presence of the female gamete. Male gamete, basically these are the small in size, and female basically large in size. First point. Second point, whenever we are talking about the male gamete under the oogamous condition, male always motile. Male, these are the always motile because they has the flagella. And when we compare this point with female, female always non-motile because they lack the flagella. So ये जो pattern है, these are the most advanced pattern. That is, oogamous, these are the most advanced mode of sexual mode of reproduction, where there is some. These are the in this condition also morphologically different gametes are present, but we have to remember few more point. That is, male basically these are small size motile, female large size, and the non-motile. ये always होगा, which is the most advanced. But if we are talking about with respect to algae, out of these three, which is the most common? Which is the most common sexual mode of reproduction? So remember this point. Isogamous, these are the most common method of sexual mode of reproduction under the algae. तीनों पैटर्न होते हैं मोस्टली थ्री आर मीन्स थ्री प्रेजेंट इन different example. Isogamous also present, unisogamous also present, oogamous also present. But now what happened if we are talking about which is the common, mostly common? So almost in all algae, mostly isogamous mode of reproduction is present, where morphologically similar gametes they fused with each other. Morphologically similar means what? दोनों के दोनों flagellated होंगे, means flagella present for the both male and the female gamete, or flagella lack, same size, everything is same. So that's why we are talking about similar gamete fusion, morphologically similar, but one should be behave as a female, another should be behave as a female male. So male and female fusion, but both these are similar gametes, morphologically similar gamete. Such type of the fusion called as isogamous sexual mode of reproduction. Got it? This point is clear, everyone? This point is clear? Okay. ठीक है? Yeah. So don't worry, new students. हम जब fungus देखेंगे, I'll take this part again. हाँ, Ramchandra, I'm taking example. Just better. Wait. So now next part we are talking about sex organ. Number 8. Because we are talking about sexual mode of reproduction, and under the sexual mode of reproduction we are talking about sex organ. Whenever we are talking about the sex organ, these are the very simple unicellular non-jacketed. Non-jacketed means without protective layer. So we are talking about sex organ which is present. In case of this algae, basically simple unicellular single cell, as well as non-jacketed sex organ. Non-jacketed means what? Protective layer is absent. That's why we are saying these are the non-jacketed. So non-jacketed. Non-jacketed, okay? So non-jacketed means what? Protective layer. Something or tissues are present which is involved in the protection. So these are the some protective tissues or the protective layer. So such type of this layer, protective tissues, these are the absent. So if these are absent, it means that we are talking about these are the non-jacketed cell. But we are taking some exception case. ये mostly condition होगा. In case of algae, mostly sex organ, these are the simple unicellular non-jacketed, without jacket, without protective layer, without protective tissue. But exception है, bio है, right? So we are talking about exception case. Exception case. In case of Cara. Cara. Okay? Cara basically green algae. We discuss this part later. In case of Cara, हाँ Komal. In case of this Cara, basically when we are talking about the sex organ, these are the multicellular plus jacketed. So Cara, in case of Cara, we are talking about sex organ. It is not simple. So sex organ, these are multicellular as well as these are jacketed. So something a unique property with respect to Cara. Almost in algae, there is a presence of the unicellular non-jacketed sex organ. But in case of this Cara, sex organ, these are the multicellular, right? Means made up of the many cells. Many cells get involved and plus protective layer that is jacket are present. So these are the jacketed. Another question which is coming from the Cara. Whenever we are talking about body of Cara, these are covered with calcium carbonate. Covered with calcium carbonate. And you know very well, we already discussed this part in case of diatoms. Diatoms के body में भी क्या present था? Silica present, right? And due to that silica, that structure is quite hard. That is not easily break down. Same principle we are talking about. Cara body of the Cara, it is covered with the calcium carbonate. That's why the quite hard such type of this Cara, these are also called as stonework. These are also called as the stonework. So stonework or the Cara, these are the same name. Why we say these are the stonework? Because body, these are the made up of calcium carbonate, and due to that calcium carbonate, now it is body, it's quite hard. It's become hard like a silica. Silica से भी body बनेगा तो hard ही होगा. Same condition with respect to CaCO3. Now what happened in this condition? These are body, it is covered with the calcium carbonate. That's why Cara, commonly these are also called as the stonework. This point is clear? Got this information? Need question from the Cara. Done? Okay. Okay, chalo. Now, next we are talking about fertilization. Number 9. Fertilization, or simply you can say sexual reproduction. So out of 3 we are taking any one. That is not important. यहाँ से एक ही question बनता है, embryo form होगा या फिर नहीं होगा. So we are talking about process of fertilization. In case of this process of fertilization, first of all we are talking about there is a presence of the gamete. Just we discuss there is a presence of the male gamete, or might it be possible there is a presence of the female gamete. Male and the female. You can consider isogamous, you can consider unisogamous, you can consider oogamous. Nothing important. We are talking about the common process. So one is male gamete, another one is female gamete. Male and the female gamete, they fused with each other. right? And you know that we are talking about the fusion of the gamete, and for the algae, for the fusion, water is required, because mostly whenever we are talking about common property in case of algae, bryo and the pterido, जो पहले तीन groups है, because first one is algae, bryophyta, pteridophyta, gymnosperm and the angiosperm. So initial three group of the plant kingdom, algae, bryophyta, pteridophyta, between these three, what is a common point? They required water for the fertilization. Water. Algae also required water for the fertilization. Bryophyta also required water for the fertilization. Pteridophyta also required water for the fertilization. So these are the three common property. तो यहाँ पे हम process कर रहे हैं fusion, and for the fusion, what is the requirement? Water is required. That's why we write down one point. Mostly algae habitat, these are the aquatic. Few these are the terrestrial. But if there is a gamete fusion, if we are talking about fertilization, 100% water चाहिए ही चाहिए. Without water, no fertilization in case of algae, bryo and the pterido. Remember this point. Water required. And these are the common point between these three groups. Yeah. So we are talking about gamete fusion. Water required, right? Once fusion is done, now there is a formation of the zygote. Because see, gamete है मतलब haploid होगा. Male gamete, female gamete, both these are the haploid in nature. Now there is a formation of the diploid zygote, and you know very well, zygote, it is always and always diploid, without any exception case. World में ऐसा कोई भी example नहीं है कि जहाँ पे zygote haploid होगा. Universally accepted, that is always and always zygote, these are the diploid in nature, because when zygote get formed, after the two spore or the two gamete, they get fused with each other. So now we are talking about that is formation of the zygote. Once zygote is get formed, now that zygote undergo meiosis process, and such type of this meiosis, these are called as the zygotic meiosis. Which meiosis? Zygotic meiosis. When we talk about the cell cycle cell division chapter, we'll discuss the three types of meiosis. Number one, zygotic meiosis. Meiosis means what? Reductional division, right? Number second, we discuss sporic meiosis. And the number third, we discuss gametic meiosis. Okay, gametic meiosis. So basically, these are the three types of meiosis. Whenever we are talking about the zygotic meiosis, it is present in case of fungi and the algae. So where these are present? These are present inside the fungi and algae. Algae also showing zygotic meiosis. What is meaning of zygotic meiosis? Once zygote get formed, which is a diploid in nature, immediately under favorable conditions, zygote undergo reductional division. Zygote undergo meiosis process. Got it? So these are the very common point with respect to algae. Algae as well as the in case of fungi. That is, once zygote get formed, it is undergo the meiosis process, and meiosis process also called as the reductional division. Now, sporic meiosis कहाँ पे present होगा? Sporic meiosis means what? Something a spore mother cell is present. Spore mother cell. Spore mother cell undergo the meiosis process, and now there is a formation of the spore. Such type of the meiosis, these are called the sporic meiosis. So whenever we are talking about the sporic meiosis, it is present in case of the bryophyta. B for bryophyta. It is also present in pteridophyta. P for the pteridophyta. Also present in gymnosperm. Also present in angiosperm. So if you see, zygotic meiosis is present in case of lower plant kingdom, that is algae. Rest of all plant kingdom means bryo, pterido, gymno, angio, all they has sporic meiosis. What is meaning of sporic meiosis? Something the sporophytes are there, something spore mother cells are there, and now that spore mother cell undergo the reductional division and formation of the spore. And when we talk about gametic meiosis, it's very much common in case of animal. तो फिर से हम पार्ट रिपीट करेंगे, but please write down this information in margin. Zygotic meiosis common in fungi, algae. Sporic meiosis common in bryo, pterido, gymno, angio. And gametic meiosis is present mostly in case of animal. Exception case भी हो सकता है, but here we are not taking exception case, we are taking the common characteristics. Got it? So back to pavilion, we are talking about zygotic meiosis. In case of this algae, after the fusion, now there is a formation of zygote. Zygote can, these are the diploid in nature. Zygote, it is undergo reductional division, right? Zygote, it is undergo the meiosis process, and now there is a formation of meiospore. Spore. But more specifically, we are talking about the meiospore, which is haploid in nature. So now what happens? There's a different types of the meiospore get formed. And what is meaning of meiospore? Meiospore means the spore which is a product of meiosis. Mitospore, product of mitosis. Meiospore, product of meiosis. Got it? So we are talking about which process? We are talking about that is meiospore, haploid in nature. What's the difference between the spore and the zygote? कोमल, spore haploid in nature, हाफ सेट होगा ना, ट्विन था. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर हम बात कर रहे हैं इनसाइड दिस zygote, फॉर एग्जाम्पल यहाँ पे क्रोमोसोम नंबर 10 है. हाउ मेनी क्रोमोसोम नंबर? 10 क्रोमोसोम नंबर. Now once that zygote undergo the reductional division, it is undergo the meiosis process, zygotic meiosis. Now they form the spore, and now this spore having how many chromosomes? Only 5 chromosomes, because after the meiosis process chromosome number it is reduced, it is divided into two half. Reductional hoga na, reductional division. Similarly, if I am talking about chromosome number in my body, total 46 chromosome. But if you are talking about in human body, chromosome number in case of egg and the sperm, so respectively they has only 23 chromosome, because that is a reductional division. So zygote basically diploid hoga 2n, and whenever we are talking about the meiospore, these are the haploid, half set of chromosome. Okay, Komal, okay. Can haploid spore undergo meiosis? See, haploid spore never undergo meiosis, कभी भी नहीं जाएगा. पहले ही haploid है, और कितना half करोगे इसको? वो तो 1/4 हो जाएगा then, right? Remember this point. Haploid cell can undergo mitosis. Haploid cell can undergo mitosis, but haploid cell never undergo meiosis process. अगर हम बात करें spore mitosis कर सकता है. After the mitosis process, they produce the haploid spore. But haploid cell, any haploid cell, never undergo the further reduction. Got it? Okay, Komal, let me know. Haploid cell never undergo the meiosis process. Haploid कभी भी meiosis नहीं करेगा, because meiosis means reductional division. हाँ, Komal, I'll discuss that part, sporic meiosis, when we start the bryophyte. But just focus on the zygotic meiosis. This point is clear. What is meaning of zygotic meiosis? Zygote get formed. Zygote undergo the reductional division. They form the meiospore. Meiospore क्या होगा? Now these are the product of the meiosis. Now what happened? This meiospore, which is a haploid in nature, now it is undergo the process of germination. Now it is undergo the process of germination, because you know that if favorable condition, अच्छे दिन, now that spore undergo the development, growth, and now there is a formation of new individual of algae. New individual. Okay. So see the steps from gamete, which is a haploid in nature, and from what happened, whatever we are talking about the new individual, again this new individual, whatever we obtain the haploid body. So that's why I'm talking about, in case of this algae, completely except zygote. If you see from entire body, these are the haplontic in nature, except zygote. Gamete haploid is spores also haploid. Now after this post germination, whatever the body get formed, all these bodies, these are the haploid in nature, right? Okay. So just quickly check this point, from gamete fusion up to formation of the new individual. So I'm writing some point here, common point. So on the basis of that, We understand one thing. In case of this algae, meiosis is present, and that meiosis simply these are called as the zygotic meiosis. Which meiosis pattern is present? There is a presence of zygotic meiosis. Number one. Clear? Now, if you are talking about life cycle, so in case of this algae, basically it will be showing haplontic life cycle. Which life cycle is present? Haplontic life cycle. And what is meaning of the haplontic life cycle? Except zygote. Except zygote, all these developmental stages of the algae, these are the haploid in nature. We are writing that information. What is meaning of haplontic cycle? Haplontic means we are talking about haploid. Small n. Small n represented by the haplontic word. So what is meaning of haplontic life cycle? Except zygote. Because zygote is only two end. Except zygote. Okay. Sound is clear now? Deepika, sound is clear? Okay. Now clear. Okay, chalo. So we are talking about some common point for the uh, algae. Number one, algae these are representing zygotic meiosis. Number second, algae basically it has the which life cycle? Haplontic life cycle. Now, next point and very important point. In case of this algae, if you see during the developmental pattern, zygote bana, zygote undergo the reductional division. And after the reductional division, now there is a formation of the spore, meiospore. Meiospore undergo the germination and they form a new individual. They form a new body of the algae. So now what happened? In this point of view, you understand one thing. During the life cycle, entire life cycle of the algae, there is a no embryo formation. No embryo. Normally क्या होता है development में? After the fertilization, zygote form, zygote converted into embryo. An embryo undergo the development and they form a new individual. But in case of this algae, these are the very unique process. In this algae development, typical structure of the embryo, this embryo, these are the totally absent. Question. In case of this algae, embryo formation, it is totally absent. So please write down this information in margin. कहाँ पे embryo present होगा और कहाँ पे absent होगा. So we start from the first point. A for the algae, B for the bryophyta, T for the pteridophyta, G for the gymnosperm, and A for the angiosperm. So whenever we are talking about the embryo always it is absent. It is only absent in case of algae. Where these are the absent? It is absent only in case of this algae. Rest of in all, from bryophyta, pteridophyta, gymnosperm and the angiosperm, such type of this embryo formation is present. Embryo present, and where this embryo absent, embryo formation is absent only in case of algae. Just remember 2 point. हमने माइटोस्पोर को कंपेयर किया था. माइटोस्पोर present only in case of algae. Rest of in plant kingdom, these are totally absent. While whenever we are talking about the embryo these are absent in case of this algae, while rest of in all plant kingdom like bryo, pterido, gymno, angio, embryo formation totally present. Got it? This point is clear, everyone? Okay, okay. Chalo. Okay, chalo. Should I continue next part? Done. So please start from the new page. And if you possible, please write down on the horizontal position. Now, when you are writing in notebook, आप कैसे लिखते हो? इसे vertical position में लिखते हो ना? From top to bottom. So please rotate your notebook and write down the horizontal, because now we are taking, according to RH Whittaker system, algae it is divided into three major class: chlorophyceae, pheophyceae, and the rhodophyceae. That is green algae, brown algae, and the red algae. So please divide your page into three sections, and whatever the information is present from habitat up to economic importance, we all uh, write down in table form. So that is very easy to understand. So please prepare a proper table. Space ज़्यादा लगेगा, so please horizontal position में लिखना, please. So you will get the more space for the writing. Yeah. So first of all, we are talking about first name green algae, and green algae also called as the chlorophyceae. Just divide, actually we require 2 to 3 pages formal, so write down, just draw the 3 columns right now. Let's see. Okay, so first point, we are talking about the chlorophyceae. Chlorophyceae also called as the green algae. Commonly it is called as the green algae. Second, we are talking about pheophyceae. Pheo, that is brown. Pheophyceae. And pheophyceae, commonly these are called as the brown algae. And finally we are talking about rhodo. Rhodo, that is red. Rhodophyceae. And this rhodophyceae also called as the red algae. Got it? Okay. So we are talking about prepare a proper table. We are talking about the chlorophyceae, green algae, pheophyceae, brown algae, rhodophyceae, that is red algae. So quickly we start from the first point. Once you finish, then tell me. Done? Okay, sure. So first of all, we are talking about from first point, that is habitat. So I'm writing the first character, first feature, that is habitat. So under the habitat, first of all, we are talking about for the green algae. In case of this green algae, whenever we are talking about habitat, mostly these are the fresh water. Mostly these are fresh water. So for the fresh water, I'm using FW as a short form. Fresh water, FW. And under the fresh water, we are taking example. You have to remember this example. One Spirogyra. Example of the green algae. First example, Spirogyra. And the second example, Ulothrix. Spirogyra, and the second example, that is Ulothrix. So green algae, mostly these are the fresh water. Fresh water means what? The water, river water, pond water, lake water, fresh water. And Only 10%. Only 10% these are the marine water. For the marine water, we are using the short form that is MW. So remember the short form for the further. FW means fresh water, MW means marine water. Okay? And now the marine water, we are taking one example, Alba. Alba. Okay? So Spirogyra, Eurothrix, fresh water, Alba, marine water, part of green algae. You have to remember example. And I already told you किस तरह से करना है. One day class, you have to recall each and every example today itself. Read NCERT side by side. Chalo. In case of this brown algae, we are not taking example, but we are talking about mostly in case of this brown algae, these are MW, this marine water. Okay, mostly brown algae, these are the marine water. And when we compare this point with rhodophyceae, in case of this rhodophyceae, mainly these are marine water. Mainly these are the marine water, and few these are also present in fresh water. Few these are the fresh water. So we are taking one example which is come under this category, that is fresh water. Under the fresh water, we are taking one example, Brachyspermum. 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 Okay. One unique example, you have to remember this point. Whenever we are talking about the Brachyspermum, basically these are the freshwater red algae. Okay. If you see the common characteristic, why we say green algae, brown algae, red algae, because something pigments are present, and due to that pigments, they obtain that such type of the color. For example, if I am talking about the chlorophyceae, chlorophyceae also called as the green algae. Why green? Because green color के pigment more present होंगे. Brown, why we say brown algae? Because brown color pigment or other color pigment, these are the present in more amount. Similarly for the red algae, why we say red algae? Because there is a presence of the red color pigment in more amount. But remember one exception case with respect to Brachyspermum. Brachyspermum, basically it is not red color algae. Mostly all rhodophyceae, mostly all red algae, they having the red color. But when we are talking about Brachyspermum, they don't have red color, right? One question. Not have red color. So something interesting as something what we say, different thing with respect to red algae. And whenever we are talking about what color it is obtained, basically Brachyspermum they obtain the what we say olive to blue color range. So color thoda सा इसका अलग है. It is not a red color. So what is the color? It is having olive to blue color. These are the range. So don't worry, यहाँ से question नहीं बनेगा which color is present for the Brachyspermum, but might be possible in assignment or DPP you will get one question out of the following red algae, which is exception case. So whenever remember this point, red algae maximally most of all red algae they has the red color. Exception case Brachyspermum they don't have red color because something of white pigments are get vary. Because the red color क्यों होगा? It is depend upon the pigment. But in case of this Brachyspermum, pigments they are vary. So that's why it is not red color. Right? This point is clear, everyone. These are the first part with respect to habitat. This point is clear. Just draw a line. We cover the first part. Okay? Yeah, chalo. Number second, we are talking about which area is required. First one हमने देखा habitat. Now we are talking about number second, that is area. Colder area, warmer area. So whenever we are talking about chlorophyceae, that is green algae, they require colder plus warmer area. They require colder plus warmer area. When you compare with this brown algae they require the colder area. And when you compare this point with the green algae Green algae require the warm area. So area it is quite warmer. So in assignment you will get one question related to this area also. So याद कैसे रखना है? Always remember this sequence. Because I believe for this chapter and for the morphology also chapter, if you learn more and more, learning means what? Just see the notebook. बस notebook को open करना है, read it again and again. Sometimes what happen? Your eyes it is store the some memories. You have to imagine what the level of the study. When you close your notebook, आपको पता है रुबाई का एड्रिक you know very well. What is meaning of study? When you close the notebook, right? And जब आप notebook close करोगे and you can recall everything in your mind. हाँ, फर्स्ट पेज पे ये पॉइंट है, दैट डायग्राम इट इज प्रेजेंट ऑन दैट पार्ट, हाँ ये बॉटम में ये लिखा हुआ है, मिडल में ये लिखा हुआ है, दैट पॉइंट इज हाईलाइटेड, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज स्टडी. You have to do study at that level. When you close your notebook, everything it is get open in your in front of you. Means your mind is totally recall that everything. So definitely brain play very important role, as well as your eyes also play very important role. So for this chapter, remember eyes का बहुत important role है यहाँ पे. I believe that because होता ही है. And definitely when you face the exam, you will tell me कि हाँ मैम it's applied. So remember this thing. No need to recall again and again. Just use your eyes, and with the help of your eyes power, just see it again and again, again and again. Chlorophyce, pheophyce, rhodophyce. Just read it again and again. Hmm? Because the MCQs question is there, answer also will be there. You have to just screening. आपको बस screening करना है which is the correct answer. So for this chapter required more practice. I'm telling you, don't read outside the NCERT because if you read module में बहुत कुछ extra दिया हुआ है. Examples also more. No need to remember each and every example. Prepare example which is present in NCERT and whatever the concept are given. So notebook and NCERT sufficient. And from the module, yes, you can read the module but solve each and every question. बहुत सारे exercise है, assignments है, section A, B, C wise. So solve everything. Solve previous year question also. हाँ, photo memory दीपिका. Yes, I did. So for this chapter, use the photo memory. अगर फिर भी नहीं हो रहा है, so my personal opinion, skip this chapter. कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. But I want कि आप करो, एक बार करो. Just do one. Next part. Third part, we are talking about body organization. Body organization, okay? And one question, body organization also, body also called as the thallus. Remember, thallus we are using word only for the algae. Thallus. So what is meaning of body organization? These are also called as the thallus. Underline the word thallus. Thallus organization, thallus arrangement. So we'll continue this part. Body organization also called as the thallus organization. This part is important. Question coming from mostly greenery. So whenever we are talking about thallus or the body organization, means we are talking about which are unicellular and the multicellular. That's it. So first of all, we are talking about first category in case of green algae. Under the green algae, okay, unicellular green algae, which is made up of only single cell. Under the unicellular, we are taking the two example, chlorella and the chlamydomonas. Next part, we are talking of the example. Number one, we are talking about Chlamydomonas. Chlamydomonas. And Chlamydomonas, basically, these are the motile green unicellular alga. Motile, because flagella present. Another example, Chlorella. Chlorella, again, these are the example of the green algae, unicellular green algae. But what is the property? They lack the flagella. That's why we can say these are the non-motile. Got it? So we are taking two examples under the unicellular category. Number one, Chlamydomonas, motile unicellular green alga. Chlorella, non-motile unicellular green alga. Okay? Now, second part, multicellular. Below the green algae, we are talking about which part? Multicellular part. Under the multicellular, basically different structures are present. So first of all, we are talking about first point, filamentous structure. Filamentous alga. Filamentous alga. So under the filamentous alga, example Spirogyra. See, Spirogyra फिर से repeat हुआ. Just we discuss in case of habitat. Spirogyra basically is present in fresh water, and here we are talking about Spirogyra. These are the filamentous alga. Means it has the filamentous body. We'll discuss this part during the diagram. So these are the filamentous. Next point, whenever we are talking about the multicellular, we are talking about there is a presence of the colonial alga. Means they can form a colony. Colony. So we are talking about colonial. Colonial alga. And under the colonial alga, we are taking example volvox. One question, volvox, basically these are also called as the rolling alga because these are the motile multicellular green alga. These are volvox also called as the rolling alga. Rolling, roll हो रहा है. These are also called as the rolling alga. And what we say rolling alga? Because they has the property, these are motile. One question from the colonial alga. So remember, volvox also called as the rolling alga. Why we say rolling alga? Because now they roll. Roll means what? They can show in the movement because flagella present. Got it? This point is clear, everyone? Okay. Filamentous alga, Spirogyra, colonial alga, volvox. Chlorella, non-motile, Chlamydomonas, motile. Unicellular, multicellular, that's it. Done? Done? This part is done. Tell me quickly. Okay, Siddhi, Shivangi. Chalo. Now we are talking about second column, brown alga. Please write down below the brown alga. Now we are talking body organization, thallus organization under the brown alga. Under the brown alga, basically we are talking about unicellular structure totally absent. Unicellular structure totally absent. Unicellular present ही नहीं होता. It's totally absent. Whatever structure is present, all that structure basically multicellular. In case of this brown algae, Pheophyceae, unicellular structure absent, but multicellular structures are present. So now we are taking the few examples, and when we are talking about the multicellular, it having the branched filament structure. There is a presence of the which structure? Branched filament. So we are talking about multicellular, and more specifically, we are talking about it has branched filament structure. फिलामेंट है, ब्रांचिंग स्ट्रक्चर है, प्लस इट इज हैविंग द फिलामेंटस स्ट्रक्चर. जैसे हमने कहा colonial, then we discuss about the filamentous. Similarly, we are talking about branch filament structure. ठीक है. Now one by one we are taking the examples. You have to remember this example because maximum time question coming from brown algae examples. First example, we are talking about ectocorpus. First example, that is ectocarpus. Okay. Second example, we are talking about fucus. Second example, fucus. Third example, laminaria. Third example, laminaria. Fourth example, sargassum. Fourth example, sargassum. Okay. So these are the very few examples which is repeatedly coming in NEET examination. Fucus, laminaria, sargassum as well as the ectocarpus. Hmm? Now, one unique question which is coming from in case of this brown algae. Basically, when we are talking about the brown algae, these are the large in size. Okay. And if I'm talking about what is the height, approximately 100 meter might be possible. 100 meter, these are the height in case of the brown algae. So we are talking about one very much common word, large size brown algae. Large size brown algae called as. Anyone, can you tell me what is the common name? If is this any brown algae, okay? Brown algae, these are the large size. Yes, Ramchandra, very good, beta. These are called as the kelps. Large size brown algae, these are called as the kelps. Okay. And now I'm taking the one example. Example. That is macro. MA, not MI. Okay. Macro. Macro means what? Large size. So we are taking one example which is come under the kelps category. Macrocystis. Macrocystis. Okay. Macrocystis, basically these are the largest brown algae. It's come under the example of the largest brown algae because it has height up to 100 meter. Because we are talking about the height, and the height might be possible, maybe, okay, it's approximately 100 meter. If you compare the all algae, इतना large size किसी algae में नहीं होता. Not even in green algae, not even in red algae. But brown algae, it having some unique characteristic because see, ये mainly marine है. These are present in marine water, right? And inside this marine water, such type of this giant algae, giant brown color algae, these are the very much common because the unicellular structure to totally absent है. And whatever the structure is present, that is a branched filamentous structure, which is the multicellular. And if I'm talking about the height basically it's up to 100 meter, right? That's why we can say such type of this having the large size called as the kelps. And under the kelps, we are taking one example, macrocystis, largest brown algae, height approximately 100 meter. Got it? This point is clear, everyone? Okay. Yeah. So whenever we are talking about this point of view, we end today's session. Next class we start with the further differentiation part with respect to green algae, brown algae as well as the red algae. Is this any doubt from today's class? Any doubt? Okay, okay. Thank you so much. चलो. So practice it. आपको जो बोला है उतना करो. And please read Plant Kingdom from today and prepare your separate notes.